everyone. This is Kathy Mason. Today here on Conscious Business Zone with Fred Grover. How are you, Fred?
Doing great, thanks.
I'm so glad. We got a doctor in the house today, guys. I want you to know the reason I am so excited about Fred's work is I got a copy, well, I got several copies as presents even, of this book at Christmas, at a Christmas party, actually, before Christmas this year at John at Crowley's. And so we're going to talk as much as he will divulge about all of this journey, because Fred is an MD. So Fred, so you're board certified family physician. I'm not going to read the whole thing. Practice focus on preventative, functional, integrative, regenerative, and personalized medicine. But then you also do integrative medicine and anti-aging. And I guess I saw on your site you have a Pandora Star Light, which I have one too. Did you know that?
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah. So anyway.
You're a sister here.
Yeah. So anyway, so Fred, tell us a little bit about the start of this journey. I mean, you've been a doctor for a long time. How did you get into the non-traditional medicine?
Yeah, great question. Throughout my life, I've always been a world traveler, starting, my early teens, and have been exposed to magical places from Egypt to different areas in Southeast Asia, Nepal, and that enabled me to see that there is more in the world, particularly in the medical world, beyond allopathic medicine. I got to witness shamans and other healers in some of these areas, and recognized that what I learned in medical school, what I learned in residency was great, but definitely had some voids. And those voids were very noticeable in the mind-body connection. I think modern medicine disconnected us, unfortunately, from the mind-body and tended to look at things on a system-based analysis, whether it's, cardiovascular or pulmonary, et cetera. And we didn't look at the impact of the mind on cardiovascular health. Now, there's a return to that to a certain degree, but it's still a fairly slow-moving target in terms of academic medical centers bringing on integrative medicine and mind-body medicine, incorporating things like acupuncture and incorporating meditation. I think the yoga movement has been huge in terms of spurring some of that interest in the general population. And as we have more physicians that are doing yoga and mindfulness, we're seeing that come online as more too. So yeah, I think a lot of it was travel, but a lot of it was me recognizing that, for me to do the deeper work for patients, I had to go beyond a prescription pad and really help them find ways to relax, to meditate, to reduce inflammation through mindful-based practices and spirituality.
Well, the thing that's really amazing, I was reading the book last night and I didn't see before, I'm not quite done with it, but it's a great read. It's great. It's a wonderful book. Anyway, I've never seen a disclaimer like this in front. And I have worked with other MDs because we publish books, but I've never seen a disclaimer like this.
Yeah.
This must have been a little bit of, there must have been a little bit of challenge for you to step out to discover these other opportunities for healing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the reason I had to do the disclaimer was because I dove into the topic of plant medicine and ayahuasca journeys in Peru and working with psilocybin, which has become a very hot topic here in Denver, particularly with the recent decriminalization. And when you're a physician, you definitely have a big target on your back. So you have to put that bulletproof vest on to protect people from the conservatives that are out there. And so I had to pay a lawyer to write that up. Unfortunately, it's the reality we live in. I wish I didn't have to do that. But,
well, I mean, have you read the book Stealing Fire?
Yeah, I love that book.
Yeah, it's right over there on my bookshelf.
Jamie Wheel and Stephen Kotler wrote that, and I have a few quotes from them in there. They talk about being in the flow state, and And I agree, to be in flow state, we have to be in that state of mindfulness and state of balance between the mind and body to be able to be creative, to be able to be productive, and to feel connected not just to the planet, but to the cosmos and the downloads that we may get from the cosmos in terms of giving us insights towards business, towards personal growth, towards physical health, et cetera. So I think there's so much that's out there, but we have to be willing to be open to it and source that in.
So did you feel when you were doing this book that you're on your soul mission kind of thing? Because that's what it feels like. Do you feel? I mean, that's a big thing to claim, but is that how you felt?
Yeah, I did. It was very much a soul-felt writing, and it was therapeutic for me to get a lot of my thoughts off my chest, particularly when I vocalize my concerns about our broken medical system and big pharma and some of the other crazy things that are happening in society. So to me, it was heart opening. It was crown chakra opening because I was connecting as I was bringing in a lot of these insights.
Yeah.
And then, my overall purpose is really to help people have a toolkit, more or less, to more rapidly expand their spiritual quests. And it can be, here's how you can use sound healing to improve your meditative process. Here's how you can use a sacred geometric form to help yourself go deeper in your meditations. Here's how you can connect to nature. And I don't want to dictate anything to anybody, religious-wise or spiritual-wise, et cetera. This is just a book of thoughts and ideas to help people accelerate in a logarithmic way their spiritual growth and their connection to their inner self. So it's really about making individuals happier and healthier, and then hopefully making society in general happier and healthier and more effective worldwide.
So Larry Cooper's here. Great to see you, Dr. Fred. And Alana Fiore is here. Aloha. So what the aspect of this is that you're seeing quantum physicists explain ancient wisdom. And you've gone and traveled. There's pictures throughout this book, great pictures of you in front of, let me grab one. Here's Kimpa. I love Kimpa. My favorite people in the whole world. Here, let's see. So here's one of you at
Chichen Itza in front of Kukulkan Pyramid.
Yeah, in the area. So what happens is these ancient civilizations knew all of this data, and they were so connected to the earth that they were able to tap into frequencies that are healing and supportive. And we have gotten so far away. I feel like we're in a renaissance. It's like we've been in the dark ages, and your book is part of the ways, almost like what Greg Braden used to do. You and I both just were at Greg Braden's event in Denver.
That was a great talk.
Yeah, he's such a pro. Amazing man. Amazing connection with the audience and energy-wise, amazing.
Yeah.
But that's what you're doing in here. And his early work was like this. And now everyone's doing the Joe Dispenza science, sort of like Joe Dispenza's the leader. Everybody's following, do your brain, your brain's the problem. Whereas I feel like this is more holistic.
Right. And I definitely embrace everything that Joe and Greg are doing, but there's so much more that can be synergized or alchemized to optimize our mindful-based practices. And so I've been doing neurofeedback and brain mapping in my practice for a long time, maybe even before Joe started doing it. I've been working with sacred geometry for quite a while, sound healing for quite a while and connected with Jonathan Goldman, doing a lot of great lunches with him, comparing notes on what we can do with different singing bowls and tuning forks and chanting and things of that sort. And I think the take-home message is, all these things are great, but we as individuals need to find out what resonates with us, whether it is sound, whether it is sacred geometry, and find that combination that will kind of set off the signals or flip the switch to allow us to make that quantum leap in our spiritual development. And I can't, sometimes intuitively I can feel into an individual and say, oh God, this sound healing is going to be amazing for you. But other times it's up for you to discover and experiment with things to know where to go in your journey. And I think my travels to sacred places have been extremely useful, whether it's Egypt or Easter Island recently, because there's elements that come into your energetic body as well as your spiritual body that give you these insights and downloads, aha moments that then I think can shift you as well. So I definitely encourage people to take those adventures if they can. And even in the United States, I think there's places like Chaco Canyon in New Mexico, Sedona, Shasta, Serpent Mound, where you can get those downloads. So you don't have to spend thousands of dollars to fly to Easter Island or to Angkor Wat in Cambodia. They're right here. So definitely try to incorporate that.
They're all, well, the earth is full of these grid line portals. And what sacred geometry, I think, does, because I got stuff everywhere. If you came to my office, it's sort of like your office. So, because I love this stuff. People come into my office and they go, oh, it's too much almost. But see, they're portals. With the sacred geometry tools, you can create portals wherever you want. You can sit on it. And you can create it. So it's not like it's out of touch. It's more about the desire to it's almost a remembering, right? Or a reunion with your higher knowing into this physical realm.
Right. And I think the ancients were entraining our brains through the construction of temples and pyramids to resonate with a particular geometric structure, which then took us to that higher state. Then there is that archaeoastronomic alignment of the pyramids with the stars, or even kivas and Chaco Canyon with the stars and the cardinal directions as well, that then created that connection to the stars as well as connection to Mother Earth, as well as the geometric shape. So you've got three of these different things that are entraining our brain into a state of resonant field that then I think allows us to spiritually connect and go into that deeper state. And I've had dreams where I've seen myself in a kiva, for example, chanting with natives and then seeing spirals, almost vortex energy flowing up into the cosmos. And I'm like, oh my God, am I remembering something, or are they sharing this information with me? And I don't know if I would have had that if I hadn't been, in some kivas and experienced the field of energy around there. So definitely tapping into that is key.
It's opening your light body, which opens up everyone that comes into your field. Then you can help elevate them, because it's like a tuning fork where everyone resonates to your higher frequency. So Fred, when you started doing this, did you feel that you were doing this as part of a way to bring it back to your clients as a healing? Because in my world, a lot of the healing, the opportunity to heal is to heal the emotional body first. And then, because that, I feel, is what causes the dysfunction in the physical body. So let's say you're at the pyramids in Mexico and you're feeling it out. Are you feeling like, how do I bring this frequency back and use it for my clients? Or how are you, or are you just expanding?
I think for me, it allows me to tap in a little bit more powerfully by having visited those places. And then my work of placing medicine wheels and all these sacred places, whether it is in Chichen Itza or, Mount Shasta, placing a medicine wheel there, gives me a deeper connection to the field of energy there by giving to Pachamama, to Mother Gaia, and then being able to make that offering to her into that sacred site. And then oftentimes meditatively, I'll tap into these areas where I've placed crystals and then feel into the downloads that are available to me to then help others heal. So there's that flow from these sites to me, to the patients that occurs. And then I think by sharing this knowledge with others, hopefully they'll travel there and experience it themselves. And it could be that they have another sacred site that they want to honor just by, meditating there. If they want to leave something there to honor it, that's fine too. And that's what spurred my second book. I don't even know if I've gotten a copy of this one to you, but it's...
No, I heard about it because I met with Tim from Conscious Hacking, and he told me about that book. And so I went on Amazon and looked at it.
Right. So this is a really fun book. It's a shorter read than my other one. Doesn't go into all the depth in terms of how to do sacred geometry and sound healing and whatnot, but it's spiritual adventures to all these places where I've done medicine wheels, and it's got a link to the map. Actually, on the spiritualgenomics.com, I have a link to the Lemurian grid map where I placed these Lemurian crystals around the world, and that's a whole bizarre story that I really didn't go into in spiritual genomics very much, but it all started when I was hiking the Inca Trail to Machu Picchu, and I started placing a few crystals and apichetas, which are kind of stone cairns along the way. I was done, and then found myself in Palenque placing crystals, and then the journey goes on. I think I've placed over 150 or so crystals around the world. So
wow! And you know exactly where they are?
I know exactly where they are. They're all buried. Some are in water. I have one in Lake Titicaca off Island of the Sun that's in a sacred geometric sphere combined with a dorje and some other elements. It's probably in about 400 feet of water. And that was to activate the divine feminine energy of Gaia, because Lake Titicaca is considered to be one of the big divine feminine elements. So I was dropping a seed of energy in there to help amplify her field and honor her presence with the presence of shamans from Peru who were there to do ceremony. And it was followed by, of course, an ayahuasca ceremony on Island of the Sun with a lot of crazy stuff coming in there. And I've also placed another spear in the water in a crater lake on Rapa Nui, which is Easter Island. So connecting those together and some other spears, which I have around the world, is extremely powerful. So
that's great. Well, I want to say hello to Olivia and Elsie. Thank you for coming. And if you have any questions for Dr. Fred, please type them in. You mentioned medicine wheels, and I don't know if everyone knows what you're talking about. Would you mind? I know it's because I also want to ask about Easter Island, but if could go back to medicine wheels about the energy, because I think, again, the indigenous have been holding this information for us, and the uncivilized ones have been holding it for the civilized ones.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to find a picture of one of my medicine wheels in this book. They're basically, this is a download I had as well, and I think the first one I built was in Mount Shasta, and I can't find a picture, but I'll grab one for you and send it to you so you can post it. Okay. But I take a central Lemurian crystal and I put that in the middle, and it's usually pretty large, probably 2 or 3 inches long. And then I spoke it out with selenite sticks that are, maybe 6 to 8 inches long. And then on the tips in the 4 directions, yeah, there you go.
Right here.
In the tips, I put shorter 3-inch Lemurians. So It's
Okay.
basically a cross formation with a central lamarian, and it's buried in the ground. I consecrate the ground with tobacco. I sage the area, and then I chant the directions of the Pachacuti Mesa, Pachamama, Mama Kia, Wiracocha, Inti, and Quichi, and then connect it to the cosmos as well as to the earth, honoring it, and then putting in an intention if I need one to, like for Rapa Nui, Easter Island, trying to help heal that island and the natives there so that, many of their ancient energies can come back to help them and help the environment, which is suffering there quite a bit. So medicine wheels are all over the place. I've got them. One of my recent ones was in the Redwoods National Forest to help protect the forest out there. I have 3 in the Mount Shasta area. One I placed in honor of Kahuna Kale from the Big Island, who's been having some health challenges. So I did one dedicated to her up near Panther Meadows. So sometimes I'll do it to help people or the land or, culture. And then the wild thing I do is I connect these in a grid-like pattern along ley lines to act like acupunctural points to energize and reconnect the energies of, say, Heart Island, which is South America, to Turtle Island, which is us, thus connecting the Inca, Maya, Anasazi, Hopi, etc., creating a field of flow and ancient energy lines that will hopefully be reactivated and hopefully create a higher resonant state to heal us and heal the planet. So, my spiritual genomics book was there to help heal us. My Awakening Gaia was talking about how I heal the planet through activating ancient ley lines. So that's that one. And then here's the Awakening Gaia, the Lemurian crystal grid. And that big crystal you see here, I just did a picture with my iPhone before I placed it in Lake Rotorua of New Zealand, which is a very sacred place. And it was really cool. I went into the water as deep as I could, and then I just threw it as deep into the lake. And then the mist from the hot water of the volcanic heating cleared, and these swans just swam out of nowhere and went right over the top of it. It's the craziest thing. So you get these weird signs that happen when you do these placements. The other weird sign I had was in Chaco Canyon. I placed one over Pueblo Bonito, which is the big, massive complex of, I think, 25 kivas or so. I went to place it under the lip of sandstone, and as I was digging out the sand from underneath, I magically found another crystal that was nearly identical to the Lemurian that I put. And and I broke down crying, and I was in this state of disbelief and complete interdimensional space, wondering how it had gotten there. And I just kind of accepted that it was a sign that I was on the right path for placing these for whatever crazy reason.
So did you take that one out and put yours in?
I took it out, I looked at it, and I was like, well, what do I do? Do I keep this other one as a present? And then I thought, no, I pair them up together and I put them both back. And so that's what I did. And then in the book, Awakening Gaia, I discussed just these crazy, unimaginable synchronicities that happen in the coming days after that, and the appearance of all these crows that showed up by my car as I was getting ready to leave the site. I'd never seen so many crows in my life that just were, crawling at me. And so I think when you're in the flow, as we were talking about earlier with stealing fire, synchronicities occur, whether it's finding another identical crystal or showing up at the right place with another person that's doing the same work. Those things happen, but if we're not in the flow and we're disconnected from our connection to the cosmos and to Mother Earth, then we're not going to see much of that.
Right.
So a lot of my book is, how to get in the flow by doing the work, the inward work, and then, maybe the planetary work if you're drawn to do that, and then sharing that with others so that they can also amplify the field around the planet. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, and tell us a little bit more about Easter Island. Are those, the bodies have been uncovered. They look like they're full size. Did you go to that Roa statue?
Yeah, so that particular area is over where the quarry is. And many of them are full bodies buried, and they have one that you can see. It's amazing. There's probably a lot more that they're going to discover that are completely buried as they do, ground radar to evaluate them or dig them out. Hopefully they'll just do, ultrasound radar to determine that. And it's very much like the LiDAR scans that are being done in the Yucatan to discover that the Maya civilization was 3 times greater than what archaeologists felt it was. Same thing in Cambodia when we evaluate Angkor Wat. They've discovered the palace structures outside of Angkor Wat, which they're now excavating. So all these forested areas that have been overgrown and difficult to explore, the laser radar just cuts right through it and shows us exactly where these places were missed. And so I think there's a lot of discoveries to come, not to mention Antarctica as the snow starts to melt rapidly.
Right. And then all of Atlantis, or if that is Atlantis. I have one of the people that I work with says that Atlantis didn't sink, it went to another dimension, which is one way to look at it, and that now it may be revealed.
Yeah, I believe that too. And I think, the Mayas and their sudden disappearance, I mean, there's all these theories that are out there, but the interesting thing is there's no evidence that there's any war, there are no broken pots and whatnot, particularly in some of these locations they've documented. It's like, where did they go? They didn't migrate somewhere, they just disappeared. So did they somehow, go through a portal into another dimension, or were they picked up by an interplanetary spaceship? I don't know, but I'm open to all those theories. I'm open to the traditional theories too. And I think the key is, just opening our mind to the possibilities and not being constrained by mainstream archaeology's views, which are, already being disproved, as mentioned by the LiDAR information. So they missed 2/3 of the Maya civilization. They're going to have to rewrite all the textbooks.
Oh my gosh. Well, and you saw with Greg Braden in his presentation, he was debunking Darwin's theory of evolution and the survival of the species. He was debunking it and showing with science how the way that the DNA was manipulated couldn't have just been out of natural selection. It was manipulated to create from where Neanderthal to us. So all of this, these poor kids in college that are having to learn the old stuff when they already know the new stuff, right? So I have another. I got to watch Crotolo Sesimo did a Gaia TV interview about Atlantis. And during that, the gentleman that started Damanhur had gone back, Franco had gone back, and with him and another painter, and had been invited to Atlantis, I think, for 4 days, and then came back. And they painted these paintings of Atlantis, which, you see these gigantic buildings with beings, or you look at the Egyptian humongous buildings, or Turtle Island. I mean, those beings. So basically, the reason I'm bringing it up is they showed 4 different species of humans in those paintings.
Oh,
also showed a golf tee-like thing in the background of one of them that spaceships were. It was a landing port. In and out. So how do you? The reason I'm bringing it up is, number one, I think there's a bunch of different species of humans here. Number one. Number two, which affects healing. It affects how you treat people and how people engage with different modalities. And then number two is that we've forgotten all this stuff. So would you speak to either one of those either about the species, how many species of humans there are?
Yeah, it reminded me of visiting Tiwanaku in Bolivia, south of Lake Titicaca, and there's a subterranean temple there that has all the different races, not necessarily species or Neanderthal type people, but in this sunken temple, I think everybody should visit it at some time. You'll see what's really wild are 4 alien, pure, ovoid heads that are clearly alien on the 4 walls. The other species are, the African, the Mongolian, the Caucasian, the Native Americans. So you see all these subcultural races that are present on the wall, and you're like, oh my God, this place is 5,000 BC or maybe even older. We haven't quite determined the age of Tiwanaku that I'm aware of. Is this a representation in this temple of creator gods or people from another world, showing within this temple what they've made and they've distributed throughout planet Earth? I don't know. And why do they have grays on 4 of the walls? So they just want to say, hey, we're the dominant species that help create these on each one of the walls. So I think that's a possibility too. I feel that there's so much that can be learned from these ancient sites in terms of deciphering what they were able to do from a medical sense, particularly from the Egyptian pyramids. So much of them have been damaged, unfortunately, but if we're able to decipher more of the hieroglyphs and determine from the Egyptian mystery schools what they were doing to heal somebody of a brain tumor or a cancer, what they were doing to treat mental health disease, we could actually improve our modern state. And in a lot of ways, I feel like they were more advanced than we were, obviously architecturally, most likely medicinally, and they probably had at least access to technology that we couldn't fathom, whether it was magnetic levitation or being able to use sound to, make rocks soft and mold them like we see at Sacsayhuaman and outside of Cusco and other areas where you have these megalithic rocks that were either cut by some powerful laser or some other technology that made them soft and malleable. So I think there is a lot to learn.
I love it.
And if we can somehow tap into that, maybe it's in Antarctica or maybe it's in Atlantis, if we can ever discover the location and any records that haven't been destroyed by, the Crusaders or whoever got down there and destroyed the books and whatnot.
Well, if we open up our whole chakra system, that's in the field. That information's in the field if it was created here before. So it's more about us being, our system working so that we can be the antenna to receive the information.
Right. Absolutely. And I think that, people like Einstein, for example, I don't think they got it in their brain. I think they downloaded it.
Right.
And Nikola Tesla, he downloaded so much of what he had. He's a very spiritual guy, and we can do it too. We just have to learn how to amplify our connection through our pineal gland and our third eye and work on those deeper spiritual practices.
So are you mentioned sound healing, and Kimba's in the book, and Jonathan Goldman are both sound healers. Jonathan Goldman, if people don't know about him, I can maybe put some information. And he's doing the World Sound Healing Day, February 14th coming up, too. He does it every year.
Amazing time. I've attended that.
Yeah, me too. So the question I have is, are you using sound healing a lot in your practice, and how, if you have any stories about it?
Yeah, I use it a ton. I have 2 sound tables. It's made by a local Susanna and Barry up in Louisville, and I'll resonate mantra music to that for my patients in my mind spa that I have for doing deeper meditation. While they're on the sound table, I'll oftentimes run the Pandora Star. For those of you who don't know, the Pandora Star is basically a lamp that flashes LED lights that will photocally entrain your brain into a brainwave state like gamma to go deeper. So we're kind of doing meditative biohacking to drop you into a very deep state of meditation within seconds or minutes. So by doing mantra music or Jonathan's frequency-based music, binaural beats through the table combined with the light, that's one form of sound healing I do. The other is with crystal bowls, and I'll spin those on people's heart chakra, on their third chakra, if they need to release some fear and stress. I will use tuning forks and, whatever is kind of called to me. That's where I definitely go into that space of intuition to feel what the patient needs there. And then the other field of energy I use is pulse magnetic field energy. And I have this amazing device called the Pulse, which will give 20 Teslas of energy. Most of the devices are out there in the microtesla range, like the Beamer and the IMRS. This one will do a lot more flow and can really help people reduce inflammation. And it can be a great tool for meditation too. I actually have one at home with the sound table at home. I have my own little meditation space, of course.
And if you have time to do it all, that's the thing. Is it's hard to make time for yourself to do it all.
It is. And my meditative practice, I'm not a morning person. But I love to meditate like around 9 o'clock at night for an hour, and I'll drop in on my sound lounger, as we call it. And I don't have any financial interest in this group, but you can check them out, sosoundsolutions.com. And they've got these cool tables that are kind of S-shaped. And then, so I'll meditate in that. I'll have a sacred geometric form that I'll suspend above my head. I'll have like a Palladian portal form over by the windowsill, and then, maybe some crystals on my heart chakra and maybe my root chakra. And then I will just drop in very deeply within 5 minutes and then just get a complete relaxed state of oneness, which then really reboots me and makes me set for the next day. And for me, being a healer and seeing patients every day, it's so important that I do this work, or I can't be present and intuitive and be able to help them out. If I'm, feeling frazzled, it's just not going to happen.
Right. And is your wife's a doctor too, right?
She is. She's a neonatologist. She will get into this a little bit with me, but not nearly as deep. I mean, she kind of rolls her eyes at some of the things I do. Like, okay, I'm going to Easter Island to play some crystals. All right, honey, go have fun.
Oh, that's great. Well, if it keeps you happy and healthy, that's what's important.
Yeah, and she's supportive of me doing this. So, that's nice. At least she didn't reject me for that. And she's the head of neonatology of the whole NICU at Children's here in Denver. So she's got a very, stressful, logic-minded job, and she can't do I guess she could be a little intuitive on her babies in terms of how healthy they are, but it's a little harder when you're in that kind of a hospital-based structure to do the integrative medicine.
Right. Well, yeah, that whole structure isn't really conducive to experimentation anyway, or creativity. So could you give us some ideas of things that you have seen? I mean, you're talking about in this book, and I'd like to share with people so that they want to read the book, both books, but about DNA, upgrading your DNA and helping you with anti-aging, longevity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the good news is, the old school thought Darwinian theory was that it would take, survival of the fittest. We would have to die off, before there would be a genetic shift. Now we found that we can actually change our DNA within days. And I was really happy that Greg Braden was talking about that recently. Yeah. I first discovered that when I was on a Galapagos tour, and a evolutionary biologist came on, and he talked about finches being able to change their beaks within a couple of weeks when there was a drought, so that they could bite into a different kind of seed, like the horny goatweed seed. And I was like, wow, Darwin only said that, you could only change beaks when the weaker finches died off, and those that had the different shaped beak would evolve and survive. But they're saying, no, you can actually change it in weeks and shift your beak shape. And we can shift our DNA, I think, by doing the deeper work spiritually to activate DNA that will make us more conscious, to activate DNA that will make us healthier, to activate DNA that may reduce our risk of cancer. And there are these markers that we can actually study, and we've done this recently in the last 5 years, that can show a methylation marker, for example, or an acetylation marker. These are weird technical terms, but it's all described well in the book, that can be turned on or off like light switches to activate junk DNA, as we call it, which isn't junk DNA. It's
Right.
there for a reason to help you shift and adapt to an environmental change. But you want to shift it to be favorable DNA that will help you slow your aging, that will help you stay smarter, that will help you be more spiritually connected. And in addition to shifting our DNA, we can also improve telomere length. Telomeres are the end caps of our DNA, which protect the DNA from damage and protect it from mutating and becoming cancer. So if we're able to elongate the protective caps on our DNA through doing mindful-based activities and relaxation, we'll then be able to live a longer life as well. And so now we actually have genetic basis for longevity through the processes of epigenetics, which is modifying your environment, and nutrigenomics, which is modifying your diet, and maybe even taking things like resveratrol and NAD and healthy things like blueberries in our diet. So we can make a difference globally by doing these things. So it's great news, I think. So we don't have to throw in the towel and say, oh, I was dealt a bad set of genes. We can say, no, actually, I can shift my DNA by doing these important mindful-based activities, reduce my risk for cancer, even lose weight, and then become happier and healthier as well.
Well, the thing that I'm excited about is that the way that you write is so easy to understand. I mean, it's not ego, like let's use a whole bunch of big words and then I can't understand you.
Yeah, no, I wanted to make it.
A lot of doctors do that,
Yeah, I think it's so important to make it understandable. Otherwise, we just can't follow it. And like when I talk about telomeres, oftentimes, and I think I talk about it in the book, it's like your shoelace and the cap, little plastic cap on your shoelace. When our telomeres are frayed, it's like our shoelace getting frayed. And if we can seal that little tip of our shoelace up, then, it's going to last longer and not fray. So it's the same kind of conceptual idea of protecting the DNA strand. Speaking of sacred geometry, one of the fascinating things I'm always amazed with is the phi ratio and the Fibonacci sequence that is present in the spiraling DNA double helix. So when we look at that and we see the Fibonacci sequence all the way down to our DNA, we see it in the spiral galaxy that we exist in. We see it in the fern tendril. We see it in ammonites. We see it in nature all over the place. It really shows you that there is an order of geometry that is above and below and within. And if we can basically synchronize ourselves with that, appreciate it, and hold forms like that, I think that it can bring a deeper inner knowing by feeling into the Fibonacci sequence and many of the other geometric forms that are out there, whether it's Platonic solids, whether we're looking at tetrahedrons, which are pyramids and things of that sort. So lots of good stuff. So I surround myself with that. And then, crystals, we were talking about, okay, what's the crazy thing about crystals? Well, they have sacred geometry within the crystalline structure. And so that's why when you put it on a crystal on your third eye, when you're meditating, you'll, naturally uplink to it because of its geometric structure. And then it will naturally amplify a signal coming in from the cosmos because, well, hey, we used to have quartz radio tuners and we use quartz to tune in a signal. Yes, we can tune into that signal too, right through our pineal gland by using crystals.
Well, a lot of the people, for the audience, a lot of the people are talking about us going from carbon-based beings to crystalline. So that's part of the way I assume all of these fields that you can create can allow you to comfort, ease, and grace, shift more of your system to a more crystalline.
Yeah, and that's a great point, because within the double helix, there's what we call a dodecahedron geometric structure that forms as they spiral together.
Right.
And you notice the linkages between the ATGC and whatnot. That dodecahedron structure is found in crystals. So you could say my DNA has crystalline structure, which it does. The dodecahedron is within it.
Right.
And I think I also talk about the structure of water. I talk about Emoto's work in terms of how we can restructure water. I think that's a really important topic that's in one of my chapters there. And, for health, we can definitely look at structuring water and finding ways to utilize that for overall wellness too.
Great pictures in here that give you information. I mean, this book, you'll love it, you guys. I highly recommend you consider getting a copy. It's on Kindle as well as in physical form. And it's really a delightful read. And so one more question, Dr. Fred. How do you see 2020? How do you see, we've got this virus in China. We've got all this. We've got the fires burning. How do you see us right now?
I see us in a massive state of chaos. I see a lot of energetic shifts between the light and the dark, the pot being stirred. But I see that we're going to come out of this okay, particularly those that are enlightened and connected. I fear there's going to be panic and a lot of more suicides and other tragic things happening, whether it's mass shootings, homicidal, etc., because of people that are disconnected and not being able to find their inner selves. So the more that we can do to prepare those people to handle the challenges of global warming, the challenges of population growth, of resource depletion, of pandemics, of 5G networks coming online, all that crap needs a conscious mind, and without that, we're not going to be prepared. So my work is to not only help people here in my office, but to help people globally be prepared for things hitting the fan.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And again, everyone, I hope that I've been putting up his website. It's revolutionarymd.com. And I think you'll be amazed that there's so many opportunities to have holistic and more grounded healing modalities that are available to everyone. And I encourage you to check out this book and check out Dr. Fred's work. I think you'll really be happy you did. Anything else? Any other way that they should contact you? I've got a website. I
do have a website, spiritualgenomics.com.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Go there. And then I have another website that is in progress. If you're interested in checking it out, it's called the Alchemy of Resonance.
Okay.
Alchemyofresonance.com, and that's where I talk about sound healing, near-infrared light healing, pulse magnetic field therapy, all of that, the alchemy of light, sound, and magnetism to heal.
Okay. I'll put them all in there. Great. I'm sorry. I didn't realize.
No worries. And I need to work on my practice website, which will then link to some of those sites. It's always a work in progress.
I understand. Well, I mean, you're writing books. You're seeing patients all the time. So I'm so grateful that you could take this time to talk with everyone, and hopefully that this will spread the word.
Yeah.
Your work's beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me on the show, Kathy. And we'll have to do another one for sure.
Yeah.
All right.
I have to read your next book now.
Yeah. Well, have a great day.
Thank you.
Yeah. If any of the people watching have questions, they can email me, and I'm fine. My email is fgroverjr@gmail.com. And if you forget it, you can just go to my website and they'll forward emails to me through the office as well. So thanks for everybody listening in.
Oh,
have a great 2020 and beyond.
Jade Rivera saying hi. Cheryl Stegman saying hi. So Lots of people came on. I think a lot of people see the replay as well. So hopefully I'll spread it everywhere I can for you.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it. All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.